Hi guys, it's Michelle. Welcome back to my cooking channel. Today we're making a Spanish version of oxtail. Since I made Jamaican oxtail stew the other day, I just had it in the back of my mind I have to make the Spanish version called Rabo Encendido. The name literally translates to oxtail on fire. So that gives the indication that's going to be a spicy dish, but you make it as spicy or not as spicy as you want. Join me in my kitchen as I cook. Our ingredients for today are oxtail, carrots, jalapeno peppers, use as many as you want, onion, lemon, garlic. I have tomatoes, bell peppers, whatever color you have on hand is fine. I also have cilantro, which is typically not used, but we're using it. Beef bouillon, tomato sauce, paprika, oregano. I have bay leaves. I have beef stock, cumin, pepper, and manzanilla olives. These are fairly large, so we're going to cut these. All right, so we're going to start. So to our clean oxtails, all you do is pour some lemon juice, lime juice, and then clean it off with water. I'm going to add the juice of 1 lemon. I had lemon available, so that's what I'm using. Put this here. And I'm going to add our spices. We're adding cumin, oregano, garlic powder, pepper, paprika, and salt. The quantities are going to be up on the description. And I also forgot to add, I don't know if I mentioned bay leaves. We're going to add that later. I also don't know if I mentioned tomato paste in the initial ingredients list. This is the Better Than Bouillon. That's one. It's like all spread out, but it's the equivalent of 1 bouillon cube there. And I'm also going to add or use a 1/4 cup of white wine and 2 potatoes, which I'm not sure if that was, again, in the original, part of the video where I list the ingredients. So I'm gonna get this all stirred up and we're gonna get it on the pot to start searing it down. To the pan, or the pot, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to add some olive oil. This is my enamel coated cast iron pan that I love using. And I'm going to start browning the oxtails. Kind of the same concept of when you're making a Jamaican oxtail. Same thing. You want to get it all nice and brown on both sides. You don't want to overcrowd the pan, so I'm going to put some of these little ones. And I'm going to get these all brown, and I'm going to put them in the pressure cooker. So now that our oxtails have been seared, I'm going to transfer them into our pressure cooker. You just want to pop them all in there. In the pressure cooker, I have our 4 cups of beef stock. And let me get all the oxtail in there so I can close the lid and let it come to pressure. You want to get it all in there fast because I don't want any of this yummy goodness to burn. So I'm going to actually move our pan over. And now you want to try to fit them all in the liquid. And then I'll get the lid. Ooh. This is a new pressure cooker for me. The one I had apparently was given away to Goodwill. Not sure why, but it's all right. This was only 20 bucks. So you close it and you put the pressure regulator, which should fit, there you go. Make sure it's closed. This is gonna cook for 30 minutes. All right, so I'm gonna set my timer, 30 minutes, just so I don't forget. There we go, 30. And I'm gonna move the handle out of the way so it doesn't get hot. And we'll start hearing that shortly as it comes to pressure. On this side, I'm gonna let this come back to heat a little bit as I'm scraping the bottom of the pan. And let me bring you over a little closer. So while we wait for our oxtails to come out of the pressure, I'm going to add our onion. I like using everything. I don't like wasting anything from those little measuring cups, or measuring bowls, I should say. I'm gonna add the onion. It's going to pick up all those nice bits and pieces. That's spice. That's the paprika, the cumin, everything just getting nice and toasty. It's not burned. You have to be careful not to burn it because then you change the flavor completely. I'm bringing the heat down. It was at a medium. With these pans, it's very easy to burn things because they heat up so nicely and they keep the heat. So I'm going to bring it down to a 3 for now. I'm going to let these onions cook down. And once they're cooked, I'm going to add the garlic. So I'll give it a couple minutes for that. Now that our onions have cooked down for about 3-4 minutes, I diced them very small. So I'm going to add the garlic. So again, I don't like wasting any of the ingredients I cook with. So I'm just going to do this little thing. My hands are clean, guys. And I'm going to mix this around. You don't want your garlic to burn. Burnt garlic is the worst thing ever. So we cook this down for about a minute. Then I'll deglaze the pan a little bit with some white wine. It's been a minute, so I'm going to add the white wine just to deglaze the bottom of the pan. I can hear the pressure cooker starting to whistle. You're going to hear that little noise. It might get a little louder, but you'll hear that noise the whole time. And that's just letting you know it's up to pressure. And that happens a lot faster in that type of pressure cooker than in your Instant Pot. So I'm going to let this cook down. You want the alcohol to cook down from the wine. We want the flavor, but we're not interested in getting anybody drunk. I don't typically cook with wine, like I've mentioned before, but this is a Cuban dish. Cubans use a lot of white wine, dry white wine, while cooking, so I figured, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. So I'm going to let this keep cooking down just a bit before I start adding. I'm going to add our bell peppers, our tomatoes, the jalapeno, basically everything. But for now, let's just keep this cooking down. All right, so that's cooked down. I'm going to add our bell pepper. You can use green bell pepper, yellow, red, whatever you have on hand. Sometimes I use 2. This time I'm just using 1. So I'm going to get that moving around. I'm going to bring the heat back to a 5 because the bell pepper is kind of cold. To this, I'm going to add the jalapeños first. See, and the pressure cooker is letting you know, be careful, don't touch me. So now the jalapenos are in there, and we're going to add our tomatoes. Tomatoes go in as well. And our cilantro. Now, cilantro is not typical to the Cuban oxtail, but it is if you do it Puerto Rican style. And I just love it, so I'm using cilantro. So I'm going to let this cook down for a couple minutes, and then I'll be back to add everything else. All right, so now our veggies are cooking. Look how beautiful that looks. These colors, well, they're not as vibrant right now because they're being cooked, but they're so vibrant. To this, I'm going to add our beef bouillon, go like this, and our tomato paste. This thing doesn't fit, so I'm gonna grab a spoon. You add your tomato paste and beef bouillon paste in here. To this, I'll add the tomato sauce. Remember, we're still waiting for those oxtails to come out of the pressure cooker. I'm gonna stir this a little. I don't want to scrape the bottom of the pan, but I don't want to leave any on here. I'm gonna get this all mixed in. Like that. Some of that paste is still there. Then I'm going to put in the carrots. I'm going to put in the manzanilla olives, the green olives. They were queen size. That just means large. So I cut them into pieces. I sliced them up. And I'm going to add our potatoes. I'm just going to give it a quick stir. And now, because we are waiting for our oxtail, I'm actually going to turn this off, which I normally wouldn't do, but just keep it covered. So we'll be back as soon as the oxtails are ready to go. All right, so our oxtail has cooked for about half an hour in the pressure cooker. Let me bypass this. So it's looking like that. I'm going to carefully add it into our veggies, which I turned on like a couple minutes ago. And you're gonna add the juices that come out of here too, because it's just where all the flavor is. Because remember, we seasoned it. We seasoned the oxtail before we seared it. So all that seasoning, all that flavor is in the pressure cooker right now in the beef stock. So we're putting it in this pot. Let me get the wooden spoon out of the way. And now we're gonna cook this down. The potatoes and the carrots will cook and all the flavors will mix up and marry nicely. And let's check on the oxtail. The oxtail is tender, but it could be softer. I mean, look, I'm having a hard time here. So let me just do this. Hot, but it's almost there. So it's not fall off the bone yet, but it's getting there quickly. So this, I'm gonna just let it cook down for about 15-20 minutes. You wanna keep an eye on it. You wanna keep stirring it because you don't want it to stick to the bottom, okay? So I'll cover this and I'll be back. Okay, so we're done. I prepared some rice while I was waiting for this to cook down. I also tasted it. You know how I make adjustments after I taste. It wasn't spicy, so I added a jalapeno pepper just for the flavor, but I did cut up some of the Scotch bonnet that I had left over from my trip to Jamaican cuisine. So look how nice and thick this is. So I added the Scotch bonnet a little bit, and that should work. And this is just for flavor. It's not punctured. If you want more heat, you can cut it up and put it in there. And I also adjusted the salt. So now you see how nice and thick this gravy is. And you see bits and pieces of meat. I don't know if you can pick that up. Here's a piece of meat in the juices. So that means the oxtail is nice and ready. It's falling off the bone. I'm going to plate it and we'll have a taste. Okay guys, it's time to taste this. I'm gonna get a little bit of oxtail, which is literally falling off the bone. I'm gonna get some potato. Wow. The potato holds all the flavor from the gravy. You can taste the cumin, the oregano, all those Latin flavors. It's not like super spicy. I would prefer it personally more spicy. You can add however many jalapeños, habaneros, whatever you want to add to it. If you like spicy, kick it up. If not, go ahead and omit that. You can add the jalapeno pepper without cutting into it, and just leave it in the liquid, and that brings out flavor. It's like a sweet, fruity, like jalapeno flavor without the heat. It's really good. So for me, I'm gonna go get more hot sauce. Tearing into the dish. It looks so good. It's so delicious. You smell it. The whole house smells like oxtail. I'm very excited. So if you liked this video, go ahead and hit like down below and subscribe to my channel for more recipes. Thanks for watching and bon appetit.